GM friends, and thanks for tuning in to DeFi-Logic's TA Tuesday live in the server at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We have a partnership with Blowfin, and our Bitcoin, ETH, and Doge strategies are currently in beta testing on Astrobit. Join us in Discord to learn more. The link is in the description below. In today's call, we will review charts for Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Jupiter, AVAX, Joe, Zaba, WIF, and for legacy markets, S&P 500, Dow Jones, Industrial, NASDAQ 100, US dollar index, 10-year bonds, and gold. With that, over to Eddie.
So I deleted the shallow pullback plan since last time because obviously we went into the deep pullback zone. Hopefully this holds because the bearish price action, it's basically done at that point. When you go into the 3-day, it lines up this would be a frame with the market structure, and that would mean more bearish section. So pretty good for now. A whole bunch of money got liquidated, and everything's going up because of that. We front-run a little bit of the 4H EMA 200, so there's a chance it comes back and gets it, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. For now, yeah, pretty good opportunities to buy spot bags. Yeah, cool. It's tough to know if this is going to be the bottom or not because we really need some close here to determine a bullish shift back on Bitcoin. That's like $4,000 away. Kind of crazy. I'd like to think that this is the bottom. We can continue going back up. It's still too early to tell for now, but for now, the must hold box is doing its job. That's good to see. Ethereum traded a little bit below it, but this stuff it's just supposed to be a region, right? It's not low. It went a little bit below that box, therefore it's validated. It's just the general region. So basically seeing these highs right now. It's looking a bit weaker, but basically the same as Bitcoin. Has created a bunch of these low. You have equal low with these ones too. So it might go back lower into this zone possibly. Like I was saying, it's hard to tell exactly where the bleeding is going to stop. You know, if Bitcoin does come for that 4H, it could dip a bit more. I don't know if it would from here. I guess it can dip another 8-10%. I don't really see it happening. It's trading well below the EMA 200, so that is pretty bearish if it can close below it. Maybe you'll get, really what you can do is you can just put some spot buys here in case you get lucky. Same thing too though, like in order for it to confirm like a bullish shift again, it's got to be up here at 35.5. So tough to tell for now. We'll see what happens, but I don't really all these equal lows that it's created. That's usually a magnet to get ran. So unclear on Ethereum. I'm leading a little bit more bearish on it for now. Maybe one more pullback on it. It's quite hard to tell, honestly. What line up to would it? Might not be valid, actually. Never mind. Yeah, Ethereum, nobody likes Ethereum anymore, clearly. I mean, why would you? Chain sucks. Soul Trade played out perfectly. I should have short because I was literally staring at it yesterday. This was like, I don't want to, might as well. The significant high, right, over here. I think on the daily, it's like maybe it closed or something. I don't know. It was a significant high. I got ran and it deviated below, and I was just considering shorting it, but positioning on the downside for the no. It was pretty evident, so talk about that actually really quick. The pullback was actually pretty clear if you knew if you used RSI. So this one, I think I have anything on this chart. This trend could come in handy one day. Anyways, I was looking at the RSI on it, I believe, all through this region. We were making higher highs, but we were making lower highs on the RSI, and it did 3 of them. So it was a triple daily bearish divergence, which is obviously a very strong signal. So I did notice this going on, but I chose just to remain a bull throughout it because I don't know, I just didn't really feel like playing both sides of the market. We're coming into like this RSI 50 retest as well on the daily, which is also a pretty good sign of reversal too. So we'll see what happens again. Like bottoms and tops take time. Obviously, this took out like over a week to play out, and then like I said, actually happen. So I don't expect it to just turbo bounce right away. There's CPI and FOMC this week too, so there's a good chance a lot of de-risking was because of that. I think the Bank of Japan decided to raise rates too yesterday, so that caused some more sell-off through the Asia session. Oh my gosh. Jupiter went pretty insane, which is why I wanted to look at it, but it might also be done too. Look, this is pretty bearish up here. I imagine there's probably like a 4-hour divergence too. Yeah, there is. This one is Bitcoin did, but you do have higher high with lower highs. So it's a pretty strong sell signal. This 4-hour looks too, honestly. And it's rejecting the 50 on the underside, so it's bearish momentum still. You could probably short it if you wanted to right now. I might short it, I don't know. I don't really like trying to short in a bull market though, is the thing. I'd rather just buy the pullbacks, but if you had to be in a trade, this isn't a bad one. You'd have to aim for probably that low first. If this one gets ran and reclaimed, you'd have to probably take some off and go to break even. But so I'd be looking at that, and then with the ultimate target being a retest of this area. As far as like the bull case on it goes, same thing. I wouldn't really want to rebuy Jupiter until it started coming back down here, somewhere in that area. It just looks pretty bearish still. And then a shallow pullback would be what I'd mentioned for the take profit one, is if you see something like this, if it sweeps and reclaims it, you can aim for the highs at that point. I think the whole Sol Eco probably cools off a bit. I don't know. It's so hard to tell, honestly. AVAX looks good though. It's one of the few coins that like closed yesterday green. So that's a good sign when you want to catch straight. Erase some of this stuff. Let's erase all of it. Trying to delete that alert, and for whatever reason it just doesn't want to leave. Okay, it looks good though. Part of the reason why I think that it's going to cool off. So I don't really see retesting this level again. I suppose it could. I do think the dip's over. Again, not to buy spot at times like this because it's really hard to time. So I guess it did technically retest it already on the daily, which is why I really don't see it coming back down again. I still like it of the short term. It lines up with the high even. And then you'd probably go into this one next. So just like a whole bearish order block. So this whole region would be the next target. It's a decent buy anywhere in this whole zone though. I think it's been holding in the 4-hour trend too. Yeah, so it's like fine to buy right now still. And it's got pretty decent upside, 17% and then another 50% after that. So AVAX looks good. Joe's been looking, this is my first target for Joe's, this 1.5 region. Then if it flips it, you're probably just looking at the next high as your target. I think there isn't that might have more data on it, but this one has a good amount of it. This whole, it might chop around in this region because technically it's like just a huge, there's just so much price action in there. My idea though with AVAX is I don't really see it giving much more deeper pullback. Maybe it does. I think if you can get into this region, it's like a major buy. I just don't know if it's going to go that low anymore. I know in the server we've been positioned in Joe for quite a while. There's not really any urgency to get in now. The deep like this. And then if you're not in and you don't get the deep pullback, a flip of 1.5 for the next 278 target is the other plan. But Joe's looking pretty good. So is been looking at this one too, which I guess is technically called Avalanche, which I thought that was what AVAX was called, but I don't know. So it's a pretty simple play too. Flip of 223. You just have a lot of room to run. I'd probably aim for here with maybe some profit taken in this region. It's got a pretty big move brewing inside of it. It looks a little bit more toppy currently too though, and it's like a shitcoin. So I think that you might be able to get a dip down here, and if you do, that's a pretty decent buy. Profit one being 73% move and the percent. So it's a pretty decent spot right here for sure if you get it, or wait for the flip. So that's Zava. It's all for today. Oh, just kidding. With the best coin. So WIF is kind of giving me toppy vibes. I was gonna close it last week because it was trading below this high, and then they saved the weekly. So I'm still in for now, but it's starting to look, I don't know, it's tough to say because it's giving me top vibes, but then there's also there's such buying too. So it's really hard to know for now. This is still my line in the sand. I think if I get some daily closes below here, I'd be giving back a lot of it, obviously. So I think that's any high time frame close below this, specifically below this one at 1.65, and is over for now. But hat's still on, and it's just not looking very good lately. You had a big bearish divergence on the daily as well. Weekly is starting to look. That's the thing though, is it doesn't have the blow off top. If it closed below here, it would have been a blow off top, but they saved it. Obviously, the Solana whales are keeping it alive. Hopefully they can keep it alive for the sphere, and then more money pours into it. But if I get closes below here before that, I'll be out of the trade. That's it for me though.
Cool beans. Slabs was asking in the server about Bitcoin, and he likes the confluence he's getting from what you said. All right, and now over to GeForce or legacy markets.
Okay, thanks, Pepe. I'm covering the legacy markets, as you said. I'll start out with S&P 500, and then I'll move down to NASDAQ, Dow Jones, dollar index, and ending up with gold. So basically, S&P is up today, up a little bit over 11 points, 11.66. What it did today, it filled in this gap right here. So that gap was created on Monday. And basically that gap was created because NVIDIA made an announcement pre-AI conference. There's an AI conference this week saying they have a chip that is even better than what the existing have, several improvements, things of that nature. So that's why we got a pop first thing in the morning, over a 37-point pop in the morning. So it created that gap. And then today we filled it with today's low, okay? As I say, legacy markets gaps always get filled in. So all these purple squares or rectangles are gaps. And we have one there, another one here. So what I'm concerned about is this gap here. We have a huge gap here. On Wednesday, the 21st of February, a blue huge jump. And this was interest rates and feds and things of that nature on February 22nd. So that gap, if my theory is correct, and it's usually correct, I'm worried about that gap. I'm not saying that the markets aren't going to tank immediately, but eventually gaps get filled in. Sometimes it takes a month, sometimes it takes 2 months, 3 months, but eventually they get filled in. So what I'm looking at now is, are we going to have just a push higher? It's what the standard deviation line, this gold black line right here, just above 5100 is going up. You look at the lower two Bollinger Bands here, they're still pointing up. But the top bands are starting to come in. You can see the 2X band starting to move downward. So we could be trading flat for now. The big issue is tomorrow the Federal Reserve Bank Chairman Powell is supposed to do a rate announcement. Everybody's expecting a pause and they're hoping for some sort of rate cuts this year. June is the next thought. They thought maybe they would cut in March, but the economic indicators weren't coming in low as they wanted to, and so now they're pushing that hopefully a cut in June. Moving on to NASDAQ, basically it had a double top, so we'll see it here on the chart. Here was the first top right here back on the first part of the month on March 1st, and then it hit again right here, another double top. So that's why things have pulled back, even though NVIDIA has had some good news and it popped yesterday right here, but it still had a double top, so it's going to pull back. The charts are the charts. That's why we do TA, is that even though there's news and announcements, my personal feeling is that technical analysis rules. As you can see that the double top in NASDAQ already formed and it's pulled back. Even with NVIDIA news, it's still floundering around. Moving on now to the Dow Jones. It didn't form a double top. You can interpret that it did, but I'm still not sure about it. I don't think so. Right there would have been the first, and then here would have been the second. I don't know. I don't think so. So I think it's just going. I just think it's going sideways. It's having a good move today. It's up over 250 points today. Apparently, they're thinking that the Fed Chairman Powell is going to announce some sort of rate cut this year, but we won't know till he actually says it, which is tomorrow. By the way, the announcement is tomorrow 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then he starts speaking at 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. Moving on to the U.S. 10-year yield. Okay, again, this is a percentage. Okay, so the yields are always in percentage. Some people didn't understand that, but that's always on a percentage basis. 4.33 is the line I got, so it's 4.33%. That's the yield. We knew it was going to climb back up when it came down to the 4% range. It's just not going to hang down here. That's just not going to hang. So it just rallied back up and it's moving up, and now it's starting to hit that resistance at 4.33, which is a resistance it's had since the 12th of February. So I think it's probably just going to keep going sideways and start trading in the channel. The reason why is because you look at the upper bands, they're going sideways as well. And then the lower bands are going sideways also. And also the gold black line, the standard deviation line, is going sideways as well on that. So moving on, the last one that I do want to get to is gold. Gold has been really, I keep talking about it because it's moved up significantly. It's flattened out now. But now you can see, again, all my charts are daily charts. Okay, so you can see now it's formed a triangle. And if you follow some of the things I do in TA, is that I like triangles. I like to see how they form out because they're going to get a pop or a drop. And this could be either way because it's had such a run up. But now it's for the triangle, and it should start to pop or drop. So I would like to see it hit that level, the 2200 level, because it missed it at the run up. It came very close to it right here on what day was that? Friday, March. So it came up to 2195.15. So less than $5. So I think it will push up there again, because if you look, the standard deviation line keeps going up. The lower bands keep going up. The upper bands are starting to move a little bit sideways. So gold is going to do something. Again, there's going to be some action. And again, the action will be really large price-wise, because all this price compression, that's what about triangles are all about. When it gets towards the point, it comes into a price compression zone, and then the price is going to pop or drop because of all that price compression that is forming over the last few days. Okay, that's it for me. I'll hand it back over to you, Pepe.
So I think his name used to be E-Mini-Tick on Twitter. It's now TikTok Tick. He said gold's going to become very hawkish tomorrow. He's going to crash markets. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think he's going to hold on this pause as long as possible until he's forced to be hawkish. And they keep coming in with these economic numbers, which we had last week. They kept trying to put a positive spin on them. And I think they're going to continue to put that positive spin on it. Number one, because it's an election year. They don't want to tank the markets before the election. And the Fed chairman, he's got a definitely large interest to keep the economy going before an election, because his bosses are telling him to. So that's why I think he's just going to run this pause out as far as he can.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think that was a very good assessment personally, but yeah, I think your reasoning definitely makes sense. So thanks for that.
Yep, no problem.
Oh, Trill wants to come up.
Yeah, I had a question. I was listening to the news, and I remember it was saying that, the election years are always positive, but it was saying when they look back at the data, it's skewed as far as the election years are positive and normally double-digit positive, but the following years afterwards are they may be single-digit or even negative returns. It's just that the growth of the election years drastically pulls up the average of kind of the growth overall. I was just wondering if John had any comments on that, because he's obviously been in the markets longer. If he has any comments as far as what history does after election years, or like how the markets react after elections.
Yeah, sure. I think I saw that same article because I was doing a write-up and I was focusing on election. I was trying to get like a definite direction of the markets pre-election and after election. So I don't know if it's the same article, but it's the same information, that's for sure. So yes, during election years, the market's up and then it goes down or sideways the following year, because if you have a new administration, he's got new policies, he's going to change things, and the markets don't like change. Even if somebody gets reelected, the election can show them that they do need to change their policies a little bit, if not a lot. So even if the president gets reelected, they get sometimes new cabinet, new appointees that they got to do. So they do change some of their policies. So that's why they go sideways if the policies don't change that much, or if the new president comes in and policies change a lot, then the market goes down because of that uncertainty.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
But as far as that, you think that uncertainty could be a little bit heightened because of AI, and then also a new elections, a lot of factors. I forgot exactly the information I read. It was on, it was actually on TV. It was on Schwab Network News. But do you think it could be, a little bit either more sideways, or just as far as downside potential could be worse because like a new revolution comparable to the internet in terms of AI?
So AI is going to push things up significantly. And the new chips that NVIDIA did, and there's new people moving into that market, that is a long-term growth story. That's a 5-year economic growth story. So that's correct. This year, the election is very, how can I put it, hostile. It's big. It's just big. Whoever gets elected, there's going to be consequences one way or the other. And I try and stay apolitical because I am apolitical. I think the markets will run up significantly. It might go sideways for a while because the election is still not till November, but it's going to be a major election in the United States history. So after that, it probably will tank, but it could be buffered because markets are always forward-looking, and they see a really good 5-year run with the economy with the AI.
Yeah, I have the same feelings as far as after the election. It's like anyone's game because who knows who gets elected. But there's just a lot of new stuff going on. Definitely potential for downside depending on what happens.
Yeah, we can get more of a downside because this year, they're going to push it. They're going to try and make the economy look great and fantastic. But if anybody goes grocery shopping and how much we spend on regular basic groceries, we know that inflation is an animal that we got to deal with and try and tame. And that goes back to tomorrow's interest rate. I think they're going to pause. They're going to say we need more data. If we need a raise, we're going to raise. That's what people are going to look at. If he mentions still raising, and he mentions it a couple times, this is a Federal Bank Chairman Powell. If he mentions a cut, then the markets are going to take off even further. So they're going to be really looking at what he says in the statement, which comes out first at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then his press conference and the remarks he makes in person, that comes out 11:30.
Got you. Well, wait to see what he says. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Good chat, guys. That is it for this week. Remember, our trading algos are currently in beta testing on Astrobit. If you'd like to learn more, join our server. The link is in the description below. You can also use our affiliate link for Blowfin and get cash back at the end of the campaign. Their proof of reserves are verifiable on Nansen, so you can ensure your funds are safe. GM, friends.
Join us next week in Discord for TA Tuesday at DeFi-Logic.com.